Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us here at the Self Connection with Kelly Pietro and Ginny Brown, where we have conversations with a group of ascended masters known as the multitude of the greater good.
Yes, Kelly asks the questions and I channel the answers. The multitude of the greater good has access to information from the day of creation to the present time. And they are always happy to help and give you their information to help you grow and help you expand. Okay, Kelly.
All right. So today I have a question. I overheard someone, well, I've overheard people saying these things a lot, and I wonder if the multitude could clarify, debunk, give us their take on the truth and validity of these statements. So I've heard people say things like, if you drink or smoke or do drugs, you're putting holes in your auric field, and therefore you're susceptible to being taken over by negative entities or demons.
Okay.
So if the multitude could give us the truth about this. What is true? Sorry, I know everyone has their own truth, but what is true?
Okay. It is important to understand that, yes, each one has their own recognition of how things work. However, we can tell you energy is energy is energy. And if one consumes something, it is not a matter of deteriorating energy. It's a matter of deteriorating physical energy. When one is able to allow oneself to be who one is, it does not matter one's behavior on the earth plane. The energy does not change. What changes is the growth process. What changes is the physical process. However, as each one is open to the energetic process, the energy allows, the energy as it is allowed is energy, 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 and has nothing to do with holes in the process. We can tell you each one has an aura. Each aura is expansive. Each one is able to allow one's aura if one so wishes. However, in our estimation, holes are not part of the aura or the energetic process.
Yeah, I had a feeling as much. Okay, so I feel like I want to share my interpretation, although I think it's good for everyone to have their own interpretation, and that's what this is all about. But it's almost like it's not about, oh, you're having holes in your auric field. It's that you are experiencing something based on whatever it is you're doing, whether that has to do with drugs and alcohol or any other choice you might make in life. It's just the experience and what comes with the experience of that particular brand, if you will. And then I think I also heard that it had more to do with how it affects the physical body. And they said physical energy though, so that's interesting. I think what they meant though was it affects your physical body.
Well, I don't know about that. I do know, though, that the multitude teaches that life is about learning. It's not about learning lessons. It's about learning. So if you do something like with drugs or whatever it is that you had mentioned, it's about a learning process. If it affects your body in a certain way, you're learning something. If it's about, alienating people in some way, you're learning something. So life is about learning. It's not about anything more. It's like it's not about putting holes in your aura, because that does not happen.
Yeah. And I think too, like it's not necessarily like we as humans might brand it as good or bad because of the way it makes us feel. But from the multitude's perspective, they wouldn't really project good or bad onto it. They would just recognize there's learning happening.
Right.
Right. All right, cool. Part of me wants to like go down the aura field. No, I'm getting asked the next question, so maybe that's another video. Okay, so, well, is there something they want to say about our understanding of demons and dark energy? So, like, that is something you hear a lot about too, right? Like, demons, as in like these negative entities that could take you over or influence you in some ways that you might become victim to. Is there anything they can share with us about what is true about these concepts?
It is important to understand that there are many demons. However, demons, in our estimation, are not a quantitative process or being. They are that part of one that recognizes that I don't like this about me, therefore that's a demon. I don't like learning this way or whatever, that's a demon. It's not about an outside entity, as in our estimation. There are those energies that are incompatible with each one. And if each one chooses to go a certain way and bring in a negative energy, so to speak, which is not necessarily negative or dark or a demon, it's just how one has chosen to be. One may choose to see that as the right path. Another may choose to see that as a negative or a demon or a dark energy. It is not a matter of labeling energy, as energy is energy. And it is what one chooses to do on the earth plane and bring through one's own energy that is important. We can tell you as one moves forward in a sense of self, one chooses the direction of one's being. There is an energy available if one chooses to access it. However, in our estimation, it is not a dark energy or a demon. It is just how one chooses one's life to be. If one chooses to go forward in the light, so to speak, it is also an energy. It is an energy based on love and care. It is an energy based on being and knowing. And when one chooses a different direction, one could choose or label that to be a dark energy. It is neither dark or light. It is just energy, and how one on the earth plane chooses to view it, use it, and receive it. And all is love.
Good one. Okay, so what I took from that is like, and I think it's very much more empowering to think of our energy on this way. If you are feeling a certain way or you feel a presence around you that is what you might label as a demon or a dark entity, is really showing maybe more the parts of you that you demonize, right? That you
Yeah.
dislike or cast out.
But you were talking about a dark energy, and now you're just saying a dark entity, which I believe are two different things.
Okay.
So, um, I don't know. I just heard it differently. I heard energy versus entity. So ask your
That's
question.
good to make that distinction because I guess I do use those terms interchangeably, but maybe I shouldn't.
Right?
Okay, well, what can they add to the conversation about dark entities and how that's different?
It is important to understand that an entity is a sense of self and being. It is a part of oneself that one chooses to allow to come to them differently. In our estimation, if one believes in an entity is like out there and energy, so to speak, one cannot allow oneself to access oneself. If one believes that that entity, so to speak, is negative, we might choose to call it a negative part of oneself. It is important to understand that each one has the opportunity to allow oneself to be who one is. And if one chooses to be on a plus side or a negative side, it does not matter what one chooses on the mental level. What matters is what one chooses on the energetic level. If one chooses to entertain the darker side of oneself, it is free and available. And if one chooses to entertain the lighter side of oneself, it is also free and available for one to access. However, we can tell you those who are fearing an entity or a dark entity, we can tell you it is that part of oneself that resonates with that part of oneself. We can tell you there is that part that is sometimes hidden, sometimes requiring growth, love, care, and understanding. However, it is always within oneself rather than without oneself.
Love that. And I think too, that's why, well, would you agree, Ginny, that like they said some of that part is hidden, that it could be hidden as in like resonance with a past life energy, and that's why it's not as obvious.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I feel like I know when I work with people who have that, they mentally believe in that way, in energy that way. Um, I observe that and I think I find that interesting. And then it's about investigating like, okay, where's the resonance with that? Does it exist in this lifetime or does it exist in a past lifetime? And where do we work with that energy to shift it? Because I think some people, if you were to say, oh, well, you're just in resonance with that, they might get defensive and say, what do you mean? Like, this isn't something that I want, and, um, oh, so I had a follow-up question and I feel like I might have lost it. I think I got it. But before I do you want to add anything or give anything personally to say or share?
Well, I wanted to say that, sometimes people who take offense at that are not always aware of that there are past lifetimes and that these energies or these feelings come up that are not necessarily of this lifetime. There are things that I have experienced in past lifetimes that I have no frame of reference for in this lifetime, but the feelings come up in this life. The feelings of fear, or the feelings of anger, or the feelings of whatever they are. But there's no frame of reference in this lifetime. But it's with me. It's part of my experience of the whole of me.
Yeah, and I think like for me, how I sometimes know it's past life is that those feelings can come across as very irrational for the reality of this lifetime.
Okay.
Like there is no reason why I should feel like I am going to be hung if I speak my truth. In 2024, that just doesn't, in America, it doesn't happen. We have freedom of speech. You might get shamed or, you know, criticized, but you're not going to get hung. But the feeling of,
The
oh, I'm
fear,
going to die if I say this out loud, that,
fear. See, the fear is still there, that feeling of fear.
yeah,
Even though rationally, it's not going to happen.
yeah,
Yeah, I've had the same experience.
yeah,
Not hung, but whatever.
yeah. Okay, so then our multitude, how would they explain, like, I don't know if the words like metaphysical phenomenon, psychic phenomenon, uh, for example, like, so like Ginny, you and I have probably seen clients who are like, yeah, no, the covers were ripped off of me and it was a demon and I need your help. And so they're experiencing physical manifestations to justify their belief of this is something outside of me. What can the multitude say to add clarity to those situations?
It is important to understand that as one moves forward in their growth, love, care, and understanding of self, they will begin to allow themselves greater freedom. It is the lack of freedom that causes one to believe that there is an out there. When one is able to say, I've experienced this and I know that I have created it somehow, then they are on the right track. However, we can tell you there are those who have experienced those things. There are those who have allowed themselves the greater sense of self and being in order to allow that to happen. However, in our estimation, it is never a negative. It is always a positive. It is always a learning experience, and all is love. Now, personally, I have not experienced anything like that.
No, but I'm sure you've worked with people who have.
Not that I'm aware of.
So I have, and when I see it, almost all the time, this person is in a process of learning self-empowerment, learning to overcome victimhood. And
Okay.
it's really hard to have this type of conversation with them because it's tricky too. It's such a sensitive topic. I almost don't even say it. I just like, let's walk them through solutions where they feel empowered, because it to try to explain that perhaps this is being caused because of an energetic resonance that you hold. What they hear is like they've created it, and without having the concept of the soul having a say in the creation process, they get very defensive,
Mhm,
and that drives them deeper into victimhood, because now you're,
mhm,
how dare you say, now I'm further victimizing them, right?
right,
Um, and there's an attachment to the disempowerment of the situation. There's an attachment to being disempowered because their physical existence is showing them evidence that they are disempowered. But almost, I want to say always, the learning is to learn to become empowered. It's really, oh, it's so tricky.
mhm. Yeah, I think that brings to mind for me the concept or the knowing that we are on the earth plane. A small amount of us is on the earth plane. The major part of us is still in spirit. And when we connect with that part of us in spirit and allow that energy and that information to flow, then we can allow ourselves to heal what needs to be healed, fix what needs to be fixed. And when, in my opinion, when people become defensive about,
Mhm.
you know, I created this or whatever, it's because they are not aware of this connection to themselves. And this connection, this self, carries all of the experiences we have ever had since the day of our creation, however many lives, however many experience involved in each of those lives is all contained in that spiritual part of ourselves. So, it's hard, to understand that in some respect, we are connecting with ourselves and creating it to learn, but not creating it, actually creating it. So it's
Yeah, and it's, as a practitioner, like, have trying to hold this oath of do no harm, like, it's such a hard waters to navigate because again, if someone is not there and they don't have that understanding, and even if they do, like people can get really hard on themselves.
Yeah.
Um, and I'm like acutely aware of the potential psychological effects of that type of conversation. Um, like even now I can feel like a little bit of discomfort talking about it because I can almost feel like a trained therapist um, criticizing,
Hmm.
although I know plenty of therapists that would agree, but criticizing on behalf of clients who are already really hard on themselves and
Right.
blame themselves and are in deep shame, and which I think that that's like a whole different process. But oh, and I can feel, so this is actually really healing for me just to have this conversation because I can feel energy moving.
Okay, good.
Yeah, because I can tell, like I could even probably cry right now if I wanted to. Um, there's a lot of fear around even engaging in this conversation in a public forum.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it does feel like it could be past lifey,
Well, it is past lifey because you don't have that experience here in this lifetime,
right?
but you're feeling the fear, the sadness, or whatever it is that's in connection with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the part that would might resonate from this life, which could amplify it, is like the fear of judgment and fear of abandonment
Right.
and fear of criticism. Yeah. And that's something that I work on in this life. So it kind of gets, I feel like it can get amplified. I'm still feeling it between my heart and solar plexus. Something's fluttering around. So
Good. Movement is good. And
yeah.
tears are good. So,
Yeah, for sure. I don't have any shame to cry on camera. They're just not coming right now. Probably because I'm in the rational mind of it. I'll do that later, I guess. But
feeling.
definitely feeling it, letting myself feel it to heal it.
Yeah.
And I think, at least from my experience, the people who are having that psychic phenomenal experience that is, they're typically not connected to themselves on the soul level. And then those who are in deep shame and blame of self, and they don't tend to be the same people anyway, because their learnings are different. So again, my mind, like my mind being aware that we have a broad audience that could capture a lot of people. And I guess my hypervigilance on all the potential audience members is kicked in right now.
Well, the multitude at one point, because I've been channeling information for many years, so I don't know when this came through, where it came through. I just know that the teaching came through. And what they said was that some people are here to heal. Like we've come to heal some of these feelings and take care of the issue in that way. Some are just here to learn, and some are here to experience. Not everyone is here to heal. So I try to keep that in mind because for me, I would want that person, whatever they're experiencing, to heal it. Well, that may not be their soul's reason for being here. They
Yeah,
just may want to experience it. So I have to kind of try not to control it, basically.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, and trust.
trust is difficult, but
All
it's
right, sorry, you were gonna say,
doable. That's all I said.
yeah, doable. Working on it.
Yeah.
All right, so I think I have a lead-in question then. The
Yes.
multitude is always saying that we have a choice in shaping our experience. for example, being susceptible to other people's energy or the energy of the world, etc. Can they talk about where the decision is made? On the conscious level, the unconscious level, the subconscious level? Does the soul make the choice? Does the human mind make the choice? So it kind of goes with what we're talking about. Is it always made on the soul level, or is it? I'm separating it. They're going to yell at me for that. Okay.
It is important to understand, my dear, that there are many ways and many reasons. And there are those who come to the earth plane totally disconnected from their knowing. Therefore, they are able to move forward differently on the earth plane. There are those who come to the earth plane with a base of knowing. And then there are those who come to the earth plane in complete understanding of self. We would like you to understand that the decisions of how one comes to the earth plane are made in spirit. They are always made in spirit based on what that soul or that spirit is requiring in order to move themselves along. In our estimation, if one chooses on the soul level to allow oneself to experience love, one will experience love. If one chooses on the soul plane to experience something on a different level, they will allow themselves to move in that direction. However, we can tell you, as one moves forward in the knowing of self, one allows oneself to complete process after process after process. And as that process is completed, a new process allows itself to appear, to be completed. If one chooses to come to the earth plane to learn love, if one chooses to come to the earth plane to learn love, one chooses to learn love in a certain way. Therefore, there are many ways to learn love. One could receive love, one could give love, one could be love. However, if one completes one process, one is always free and available to move forward and allow the next process. One does not need to return home in order to create a new reason for being on the earth plane. For instance, one comes to the earth plane to be in love, to give love, to allow love, to help another. Therefore, when that process has been completed, one does not need to return home to learn how to accept love, how to allow others to love them, how to allow others to be kind to them. It is a matter of progression. When one is able to move forward in completing the process one has designated for this lifetime, one is free to choose another process to allow oneself to move forward in completing process after process after process. Do not be concerned, my dear. It's like, I don't know the words. It's like, it's not a process that is decided on the earth plane. It's not a mental process. It is just a process that one completes in the spiritual level when one is ready to move on.
So just to clarify for our viewers, when they say return home, they mean die. Like plain and simple, right?
Right.
Okay. So in other words, you don't have to die to get a new assignment, I guess. New,
Yeah, exactly.
because I know last week, Ginny, off camera, you channeled a message for me about something along the lines. They said that everything I signed up for, I've already completed, and I'm on to new things, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like my purpose for being here was, my initial purpose was fulfilled, and now I'm on to a different purpose, but I'm still in this
Mhm.
body, in this incarnation to do that.
There are some things we plan to complete in this lifetime and then saved some things for the next one or the next one or whatever. And since we've completed this one, we can pull in anything that we've decided we want to complete, and we can pull it into this lifetime.
Which is interesting because I often think of my life in chunks. Like, oh, that was that era, right? Like when I was working in corporate America trying to climb the ladder, and then like boom, stay-at-home mom. Well, there's like a chunk of time there, and then boom, I'm starting my own business. And I was like three different people. Really felt like three different people looking back. So that makes sense to me. I understand that on a very embodied level.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Okay, well, I think this, I don't know if this completely ties in, but it kind of does. And it'll be the last question if you're okay with that.
Well, I have something, so go ahead and ask your
You have
question.
something?
Yeah, go ahead, ask your question.
Well, if it's on topic, let's stick with because mine could be considered off topic.
That's about where we ended off last time.
Yeah,
We had decided to bring the subject of empowerment, self-empowerment, and being in one's own power, which kind of ties into this
yeah,
also.
yeah, sure does.
So, we had talked about looking into uh, claiming one's own power and being in charge of oneself, basically.
Yeah. So do you think the question would be, how do we do that? Is that the question you think you're leaning on?
No, because I'm not getting anything.
Okay.
It's about being the best you that you can be. It's about knowing that when you move forward from that sense of self and being and understanding, that you are doing the very best that you know how to do. If it is that you choose to model after another, that is fine. However, you cannot be the other. You can only be who you are when you are. We can tell you that there is much growth involved in claiming one's power. One is able to be uh, in that space of love and care wherever they are. However, we can tell you there are those who look down upon another for being in their own power. Therefore, it inhibits one from claiming their own power. We can tell you as one moves forward, it is important to understand one is where one is, able to move forward in the highest and greatest way for their own sense of self and being. Therefore, it is important to understand that as each one looks within each one's own heart to know that they are quite fine the way they are, they will be able to move forward differently. Do not be concerned. All is love.
I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's just so important to realize that we really each are on our own unique journey. And to compare ourselves to others does us a great disservice. Like we can find bits of us in others, but to expect to have the same experience as another, like really does us a disservice.
Right.
Um, I think that's why I don't like following spiritual rules. Like you hear people say things like, just to come full circle, and I'm not advocating drugs or alcohol or anything like that, but when someone blankets it as a rule, like, oh, if you do this, you're gonna poke holes in your aura, and it's like, well, that's a very disempowering statement. And also, it's a one size fits all. It doesn't honor the unique journey. Um, I don't choose to partake in that. That's not part of my journey. But to judge another for like being on that path and learning through that path, is very societal. It's not spiritual to, well, maybe that doesn't sound good. I actually don't like that statement that I was about to come out of my mouth. You know, to project judgment on someone's path as good or bad. We might have feelings about that are uncomfortable, but perhaps it's part of someone's path to go through that so that they learn what they came here to learn.
Right. And it's also up to us to learn to not be quite so judgmental of ourselves or anyone else.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's definitely like part of my everyday practice is like, let's just say it's like someone else's addiction is a trigger for you. Well, where are you engaging in addiction? What are your addictive behaviors? To not as a place to shame yourself, but as a place to understand the resonance and heal it. And that's just for me, who's here to heal, apparently.
Right. Right. So, yeah,
All right. That was a good one, Ginny.
that's all I came up with. So I don't know.
I like it. I think
Thanks.
it's a good closing message, unless they have anything else they want to add to close this loop or close this session.
I'm getting there is nothing more. It is important to understand that the two of you are doing a genuine service to the earth plane. It is a matter of understanding that the energy that you generate by completing these processes is not only helping yourself and your viewers, it is helping it's like the collective of energy on the whole. We highly, it's like I'm getting two words, recommend and commend. We highly commend you on your abilities and recommended that you continue to move forward. Do not be concerned, all is love.
I felt that in my heart.
Well, thank you so much for allowing. Thank you so much for being, and thank you so much for being you.
And all is love.
I said all is love.
Felt that, and that I guess that's the nudge we need every time we sit down to record. It's like, when are we gonna put this out there to the world? How many have we recorded by now? Maybe 20 of these, and we're both still like, is it time yet?
Yeah.
So they're giving us the nudge.
Yeah.
They're-
Yeah, I see it as whether we put it out there or not, we are making a contribution to the collective. So
Oh, I like that too.
energetically, yeah. I think they need to go out. I think people need to learn on the mental and the soul level, but energetically, no, it's a positive.
Yeah, I like that. Well, thanks for channeling today, Ginny.
You're welcome. Thanks for your questions.
Anytime. And
Exciting.
thank you everyone for watching once more the Self Connection.
Thanks.
And thanks to the multitude.
We are happy to be here and impart our information. Thank you for listening. And all is love.
And all is love. All right, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye.